Welcome to your storytelling. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to subscribe. When we first got married, I didn't think much of it. He said he wasn't into jewelry, that rings made him uncomfortable. It's not about the ring, he said, holding my hands. It's about what's in my heart. And I believed him. God, I was so in love. I told everyone how sensitive he was, how thoughtful. I defended his no-ring choice at every dinner party, every wedding we attended. My mom raised an eyebrow. My best friend gave me that look, but I brushed it off. He's just not into traditions, I'd say. But a tiny voice deep inside, one I kept shoving down, whispered, then why did he insist I wear mine? It all started with an innocent LinkedIn tag. Someone from his office posted a photo of their team at a conference. There he was, my husband, in the middle of the group, smiling wide. But what really caught my eye was the girl from HR, hand on his shoulder, captioned, "Our favorite work husband." I paused. Work husband? My stomach did this weird flip. I clicked through her profile. No mention of me. Nothing about him being married. Was I being paranoid? Maybe. But then I zoomed in. His hand rested on the table bare. No wedding ring. Every Friday, he had team bonding drinks. I never minded. I trusted him, or at least I thought I did. But after that LinkedIn post, I paid more attention. He always came home cheerful, just tipsy enough to laugh too hard, hug too long. I asked once if I could come along sometime, just to meet his coworkers. He stiffened. It's just work stuff. You wouldn't have fun. His smile was tight. That night, while he showered, I peeked into his bag. His cologne, new, expensive, strong. And in the small pocket, a ring. His wedding ring. Still shiny. I started asking questions. Soft ones, at first. What's her name again? The HR girl. He said. Which one? Too casual. I asked about other wives. Do any of the guys bring their spouses? He shrugged. Most of them are single. Every answer felt rehearsed. He never once mentioned me in connection to his work. Not even a my wife and I. Nothing. I checked his work group chats on his tablet one night. He never locked it. There were emojis, jokes, even flirty banter. And not a single sign he was taken. He was pretending to be single. Then came the invite that changed everything. His company was hosting a formal gala. Spouses were welcome. I found the email while scrolling on his iPad. I waited to see if he'd mention it. Days passed. Nothing. So I brought it up casually. Didn't your office have something coming up? He blinked. Oh, yeah, just a boring fundraiser. I asked, can I come? He hesitated. It's really small. No plus ones. I smiled. Really? Because the email said spouses encouraged. That's when his face changed. And I knew. I wasn't just out of sight. I was erased. After days of pushing, he finally admitted it. Okay, I guess I lied. His voice was flat, like he was running out of excuses. I didn't want you to come to the party because I didn't want you to see how, I don't know, how awkward things are at work. He avoided my eyes. What do you mean by awkward? I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated. The guys at work, they don't know I'm married. They think I'm single. They all are, so it's easier that way. I stared at him. This wasn't just a small lie. It was bigger. This was a complete rewrite of our life. Why would you do this? The more I pressed, the more details came out, like peeling back layers of paint to reveal a wall I didn't recognize. He admitted he hadn't worn the ring to blend in, and he'd started creating a single guy persona at work to avoid unwanted attention from his female coworkers. I didn't think it mattered, he said. It's just work. No big deal. I felt my blood boil. No big deal. He wasn't just hiding our marriage. He was pretending we didn't exist. It matters to me. I shouted. Why do you think it's okay to act like we're not married when you're out there? I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just a small mistake, right? He didn't want to deal with office drama, so he kept it simple. But my mind kept returning to the way he acted so carefree, so happy when talking about work. Why did he need to keep me hidden? More importantly, why was I okay with it at first? I thought about every business trip he'd taken where I was never invited, every last-minute meeting that ended with a too-late text. My doubts snowballed into a gnawing certainty. He's hiding something else too. It was one of those late nights when I stumbled across something I wasn't looking for. He left his phone on the kitchen counter. Without thinking, I picked it up, hoping to find nothing. But the messages were there, bright as day. I miss you, she wrote. Dinner tonight. The name was familiar, the girl from HR. My stomach lurched. I can't tonight, he replied. But I'll see you at the event tomorrow. There it was, The moment I had feared. They had plans. A work event, where his single persona would surely continue. My heart sank. My husband was playing me for a fool. I confronted him that night. His face went pale when I mentioned her name. "What's going on with you and her?" I demanded. He sputtered, his usual charm failing him. "It's nothing. I swear. She's just a coworker, someone to talk to when the office gets stressful." I didn't buy it. "You've been hiding us, hiding me. But now you want me to believe she's just a coworker?" His silence was all the confirmation I needed. "I want the truth, right now, or this is over." He ran a hand through his hair, looking defeated. "Okay, fine. We've been talking. It's not what you think, but yeah, we've been flirting. I never meant for it to go this far. I was just trying to fit in." The pain in his eyes felt like betrayal itself. After he admitted to flirting with her, he launched into an apology that felt more like a plea than a confession. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I felt lost in this new environment at work. I wanted to feel like I fit in. I wanted to be accepted." His eyes were full of guilt, but there was something else too, relief. Like the truth had finally been lifted off his shoulders. I felt the rage rise within me. "You think that's an excuse?" I shot back. "You think pretending I don't exist is the solution to fitting in?" His shoulders sagged, but I couldn't find the compassion I used to have for him. The damage was done. The next day, he begged me to come with him to the company event. He said he would introduce me, that everything would be different. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was all for show. Still, I agreed. I showed up at the event in a dress I knew would turn heads, but something in me told me that no matter how I looked, it wouldn't matter. He didn't see me. Not really. He was too busy chatting, laughing, and blending in with his coworkers. But then, when she walked in, the girl from HR, he froze. For a split second, I saw it. The way his eyes followed her, the way he went quiet. And that's when I realized. He was still pretending. Throughout the night, I noticed something strange. Every time he wasn't looking directly at me, his eyes would drift toward her. She was laughing, leaning in just a little too close, making him smile just a little too brightly. He was trying too hard to act like nothing had changed, but it had. I could see it in his eyes. The more I watched, the more it dawned on me. He hadn't just been pretending to be single. He'd been pretending to be interested in me all along. The man who promised me the world had been living a double life. One world where I was his wife, and another where he was someone else entirely. And he didn't even seem to care. That night, as we drove home, the silence between us was suffocating. He didn't try to reach for my hand like he usually did. His mind was elsewhere. I turned to him. "I need you to be honest with me. Do you love her?" His grip tightened on the steering wheel, and for a moment, I thought he might crash the car. "No," he said, the words so quiet I almost didn't hear it. "I don't love her, but I've been drawn to her. She listens, she gets me in a way you don't. You've been so focused on our life, and I felt like I'm losing myself." My heart cracked. "You've been losing yourself?" I whispered. "What about us? What about me?" But the question hung in the air, unanswered. The days that followed felt like a slow burn. I couldn't look at him the same way anymore. Every word he spoke sounded rehearsed, like he was still hiding parts of himself from me. But the thing that hurt the most wasn't the lies. It wasn't the girl from HR. It was the fact that he never once apologized for his absence in our relationship. He didn't apologize for choosing to hide our marriage, for pretending to be something he wasn't. I watched him as he went to work the next morning, still not wearing his wedding ring. It had never been about the ring, he'd said. But to me, it had always been a symbol of us. And now, it was just another empty promise. For days, we barely spoke. He went to work, I stayed home, and the tension between us was palpable. I had tried to have conversations about our marriage, about how I felt betrayed, but all he would do was nod or offer empty apologies. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he'd say, but the words felt hollow. It was as if he was apologizing not because he was truly sorry, but because he wanted me to stop asking questions. I began to feel like a stranger in my own home, like I was fighting for something he no longer cared about. My frustration grew. How could I fix a marriage when the other person wasn't even trying? I couldn't stand the silence any longer. I had to know, had he truly changed? Or was he still keeping secrets, pretending that everything was fine? So, I did something drastic. I went to his office. I knew I shouldn't. Knew it was crossing a line, but I couldn't let it go. I waited outside the building, watching him as he walked out, his usual smile plastered on his face. But when he saw me, the smile faltered, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice shaky. I needed to see if this was real. If we were real, I said, standing my ground. And in that moment, I saw something shift in him. He wasn't just scared of being caught. He was scared of losing me. We sat in the car for hours, talking. I asked him the hard questions, the ones I had been avoiding. Why did you start pretending to be single? Why did you let her get so close? He was quiet for a long time before he spoke. I didn't know how to handle it. I felt like I was stuck in a life that wasn't mine. I know it sounds stupid, but I wanted to be someone else, just for a little while. At work, I felt like I could be that guy, the one who didn't have the responsibilities of a husband. I was just me. His eyes welled with tears. But I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to lose you. And as I listened to him, I realized that his actions weren't just about betrayal. They were about him losing himself, too. We spent the entire night talking, each conversation peeling back layers I never knew existed. I finally understood why he had pushed me away. He was afraid of being trapped, of becoming someone he wasn't. But that didn't excuse his actions. I told him, I can't promise that I'll forgive you right away, but I need to know that you're willing to fight for this. For us. He nodded, his voice firm. I'll do anything to make it right. I love you, and I've lost sight of that. I will never hide who I am again. Not from you. For the first time in weeks, I believed him. He was willing to fight, to change. But would it be enough to rebuild everything we had? It wasn't just about the ring. It never had been. But when he came home one evening, his eyes shining with hope, he held out his hand. In his palm, he had a new ring, one I had never seen before. I know it doesn't fix everything, he said, but I want you to know that I'm all in. I'm here. I'm yours. I took the ring, feeling the weight of it in my hand. This time, it wasn't about the symbol. It was about the man behind it. He wasn't perfect, and neither was I, but maybe, just maybe, we could make it work. I slipped the ring on, feeling a strange sense of peace wash over me. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure. He wasn't the same man who had walked out the door months ago. And maybe that was enough. We started to rebuild, step by step, but it wasn't easy. There were days when it felt like we were moving backward instead of forward, like the wounds were still too fresh to heal. I would catch myself questioning him, wondering if he was still hiding things from me, still pretending. And he would catch me looking at him with doubt in my eyes. I told you, I'm all in, he would say, but each time he said it, I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. We both knew this was going to take time. Trust had been broken, and we had to work hard to rebuild it. One conversation, one moment at a time. One day, I overheard him talking to a colleague at work. From the snippets of their conversation, I could hear her voice, playful, flirtatious. You've been so stressed lately, she said. I hope things are okay at home. He laughed, but I didn't hear the warmth I had once been accustomed to. Instead, there was a coldness, a distance. My stomach twisted. Could it be that he hadn't really changed? I tried to convince myself it was nothing, just a harmless chat. But the seed of doubt had been planted once again. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was competing with someone I couldn't see, someone he was still connecting with. How could I trust him again if he kept letting this happen? As the weeks went by, I started testing him, watching his every move, analyzing his words. It wasn't healthy, but I couldn't stop myself. I had to know if he was being truthful, if he was really committed to us. He had promised me change, but I still felt like I was walking on eggshells. I would leave my phone unlocked, hoping he'd be curious enough to check it, just to see if he'd respect my privacy or invade it. I'd test him with little things, like sending him a message and waiting to see if he would respond right away or with a delay. It was exhausting, but I needed to know, was I the woman he wanted, or was I just an option? Then came the day when I found something I wasn't looking for. It wasn't a message from another woman, and it wasn't a broken promise. It was his journal, hidden in the back of his closet, a place I would never have thought to look. I opened it, and to my surprise, it wasn't filled with the usual work stress, rants, or vague notes. It was filled with admissions about me, about his regrets, his fears, and most importantly, his love for me. He had written, I've pushed her away so many times, but I keep coming back to her. I don't deserve her, but I'll spend the rest of my life proving I can be the man she deserves. My heart skipped a beat. He was trying. Not perfectly, but he was trying. And maybe that was all I needed to see. The decision weighed heavily on me. Could I truly forgive him? Could I move past everything that had happened? The lies, the pretending, the emotional distance? Every part of me wanted to walk away, to close the door and never look back. But then I thought about all the good we had once shared. The late-night talks, the spontaneous trips, the laughter. I thought about the man who had held me when I cried and promised me the world. He had made mistakes, big ones, but he was human. And so was I. If I walked away now, I'd be closing the door on more than just a marriage. I'd be closing the door on the possibility of us. But if I stayed, I knew it wouldn't be easy. Trust had to be rebuilt. But I was willing to try. Was he? We sat down together that evening, no distractions, just us in the quiet of our living room. I needed to be clear about everything. If we're going to do this, I said, my voice steady despite the nervousness in my chest, we have to be open. No more pretending. No more games. He looked at me, his face softening. I agree, he said. I've been hiding so much from you, and it was never fair. I'll tell you everything, if that's what it takes. And so we began, an uncomfortable, difficult conversation that went deeper than I ever thought we would go. We didn't have all the answers, but we were no longer afraid to face the truth. With everything laid out on the table, we started setting boundaries. I needed to know that he was no longer talking to anyone in the way he had with her. He agreed, and it felt like a weight had been lifted, though there was still much to rebuild. But boundaries weren't just for him. They were for me, too. I needed to stop testing him constantly, stop looking over his shoulder. I needed to trust again. He made it clear that he was committed to working on us. But I had to give him the space to prove it, just as much as he needed to give me the time to heal. It wouldn't happen overnight, but we were taking the first steps toward a future where we could both feel safe again. Even as we worked on our relationship, there were moments when the truth felt suffocating. We couldn't ignore the fact that his actions had hurt me in ways I wasn't sure how to heal. There were days when I would catch myself crying quietly, thinking about the lost time, the moments I would never get back. He would hold me, telling me that everything would be okay, but there were no easy fixes. No magic words that would erase the pain. We had to live through it, together. And though it was excruciating, it was also a reminder of why we were doing this, to reclaim what we had and make it better, even if it was going to take a long time. Gradually, the small victories began to add up. He started wearing his wedding ring again, and it wasn't just because I asked him to. He wore it because he knew it meant something more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of his commitment. He took me on dates, just the two of us, like we had in the early days. He started texting me more often during the day, checking in, asking how I was doing. I could see the effort, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like we were partners again. But there were still moments of doubt, moments when I questioned if this was truly enough. Could we get back to the place we once were? Or had too much been broken? One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sun set, I looked over at him and realized something. We had made it. We weren't perfect, and maybe we never would be, but we had come so far from where we started. I don't know what the future holds, I said, my voice quiet but steady. But I know that I want to face it with you. He smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached his eyes. Me too, he replied. I know it won't always be easy, but I'm willing to fight for this. For us. And as we sat there, hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in months. We weren't where we had been, but maybe, just maybe, we were on our way to something better. Thank you for listening to my story until now. If you like the video, please support it by subscribing and liking.